Hey guys, it's Cairo. So I know for a while I've said that I was going to make this video, but this is very hard for me to talk about and makes me kind of uncomfortable, but I feel like it is more beneficial for me to share my experience and try to give some advice and maybe insight into situations like this. So this video is going to be about abuse in relationships. Um, I guess I'll start with my story, and it started when I was 15. I was in a very sexually abusive relationship where I was raped and I was sexually abused for about 6 months. And that was only part of it. That isn't completely what traumatized me. When I was uh, When I was 18, the police came to my door and said that they needed to know what happened and that they found out from Planned Parenthood that I had been raped. So they opened a case and I had to describe the events that had occurred, and it was very hard for me. Um, and then last year I was raped again, which just added so much to it. Aside from that, abuse isn't always necessarily sexual abuse. In a lot of my relationships, I have been severely emotionally abused. Um, been told to just get over my problems and that my feelings weren't valid, or promised that no matter what, they'd be there for me. And when stuff got hard, they hit the ground running. And I understand, that my problems aren't necessarily the responsibility of anybody else, but I feel like invalidating somebody's, emotional problems because you don't want to deal with it isn't a mature response to anything. So, other than that, there's physical abuse, which thankfully I haven't experienced too much of. A lot of my relationships were sexually abusive, which is awful and has absolutely made a huge, horrible impact on my life because it's very hard for me to deal with. The way that it has ended up affecting me has been mostly that I don't feel like I'm good for anything besides sex. And I feel like a lot of the time it's my fault. I have a lot of problems due to it. One of them being that I don't really enjoy sex as much. It's called sexual anhedonia. Um, and it's not fun, but it's just an effect of what I went through. I used to be that I would punish myself because I blamed myself so much the for being raped, basically. Um, so I think that as far as abuse goes, the best advice that I have to give is that it's basically to tell you that whatever you're feeling after you've been abused, even if it doesn't seem at first like it's connected, might be connected, and you are no less of a person because of what you've gone through. It's not easy to go through stuff like that. I know that. I'm currently in therapy because of that. I'm about to go on anti-anxiety because of that. I've lost a lot of people very close to me because of that. And it's horrible. And I want to say specifically that as a woman, I know what it feels like to be abused, and I know that it's not just me. I know that there are women and men out there that have been abused and are consistently, you know, belittled because of it. And that's not something that's okay. So the advice that I have to give you is do what you need to do to recover from it. But what I did was I went to drugs and I went to drinking. And thank God that I'm clean now. I don't drink excessively anymore. Going from one problem to the next isn't okay, because when you really look at it on a subconscious level, chances are you're just abusing yourself because you've been abused before. And for people who have been abused as many times as I have, or even more, I hope you all take the time to realize that this wasn't your fault. It was never your fault. People who abuse other people are not good people. Sometimes emotionally abusive people don't even realize they're doing it. There are a lot of people with a lot of problems in the world, and nothing justifies the act of abusing somebody else. But the correct response isn't to attack that person. I personally have, I don't have any hard feelings towards the people who have abused me, because quite frankly, it takes too much of my energy and it has a negative effect on me. But if you need a way to relieve stress, I've been thinking about taking a form of martial arts and learning, how to defend myself in situations like that, were it to happen again, which I really hope that it doesn't. But that's a really good way to relieve stress, exercise, or finding a hobby similar to that, or really anything else. Don't be afraid to talk about it. That's one of the best things that I can say. In the beginning, I didn't really start talking about this for 4 years. Nobody really knew for a while after it happened. But when the police came, it came up a little bit, but I wasn't really comfortable saying anything about it or opening up to anybody. And it wasn't until, a few months ago that I realized that I need to go to therapy and try to work through these problems so I don't end up taking it out on myself or having 5 or 6 panic attacks a day, or, going to drugs and alcohol to help me. And my best bet right now is therapy, and that's what I'm doing. And it's honestly helpful just to have something like that to look forward to. But it has to be your decision. It can't be forced. Nothing you do can be forced. If you're not ready to talk to somebody about it, you absolutely don't have to. So please take your time, because this stuff is extremely complicated. It's extremely individualized, and your experience may be extremely different than mine. So I really just want you to know that what you're going through after being abused is probably not so abnormal. And there's likely someone out there that understands. I am so sorry if you're going through what I'm going through, or what somebody else who's been abused is going through, because it is by far the hardest thing I've ever had to go through. And I want you to know that, I may not be completely available just to talk, but if you comment, if you message me on Instagram and you just say, hey, I really need help, I will do my best to be there, because I am not going to ignore somebody who really has experienced the same things I have. Alright, so this video has been going on for 10 minutes. I made it through without crying. I made this video 6 or 7 times before and just cried my eyes out, so I didn't want to post that, but here this is, and I am really glad that I made this. So have a really nice day, guys, and I hope this video kind of helps, because if somebody had been there to say this to me, I know it would have helped me a lot. So bye, guys.